My dad was in the service, World War II. They were training to go to Japan to fight the Japanese when the war ended. And then he was recalled for the Korean War, did pilot training. His combat assignment, believe it or not, was his last assignment in the military, which was Vietnam. He was basically in 3 wars, but served in combat in one of them. All 3 of the male family members of my family served in Vietnam. Service was expected, but not required. And I went, my brother went, my dad was already in, it was like a family heritage thing. Sally was the secretary at the draft board. She happened to be a friend of mine. And she called me one day and says, hey, guess what? You're on the list. And that was before they had the lottery. So I was gonna go and I was gonna be drafted, so I enlisted instead. When you enlisted, you got to pick your service, right? Your specialty, if you will, your MOS. You go and take a whole battery of tests, and basically I passed everything. I mean, I could have gone whatever I wanted to do, and I decided to go military intelligence. So here I am talking to the recruiter. He goes, no worries, man, you go military intelligence, you got it made. Even if you had to go to Vietnam, you'd be in some air-conditioned hooch looking at maps or something like that. I went, oh, well, that's not too bad. 6 months later, I'm Forrest Gump, sitting in a foxhole in the mud and the rain, and I won't give the entire speech, but basically, what in the hell just happened? I was a 96 Bravo 2W, and the 2W meant I was in psychological operations, so that's a subset of military intelligence. The reason I went to Vietnam was to run a loudspeaker team. And what that really meant was we went over there with this equipment, the theory being that, we'd try and talk the enemy into giving up when they were faced with overwhelming odds, being us. Didn't work very well, but we tried it. My rucksack, the amplifier for our system, the microphone, the batteries, all that. My buddy with me carried the loudspeaker because it was pretty heavy. My entire rifle, ammo, everything, 88 pounds. 2/3 of my body weight I carried. So I was a 200-pounder,
Loudspeaker teams have also been employed to assist MedCap teams. Working hand in hand, the PSYOPs men are used to tell the people that the medics have arrived in town.
We were out on a night maneuver. We do what was called an ICAP. It's you go check everybody's ID and then a med cap along with it. We're just leaving this setup that we had out there, and somebody started throwing grenades at us. So I got a little close to a grenade. There was a little kid standing right next to the grenade when it went off, and he was in really bad shape. I mean, I was hurt, but they were sending a medevac helicopter to pick me up, and because of the weather, they could only take 2 people, and one of them was going to be me and this little kid, and so I could tell he was dying. And so I asked him to take his mother instead of me. So they did. And he died on the way to the hospital, which, thank God, his mom was with him, So that was a reality check. I mean, a 5-year-old gets blown to smithereens, it's not a good thing. It's the hell of war. And, I recovered, but he didn't. The medics were there, and they patched me up and had some shrapnel. And as a consequence, I got a Purple Heart. Because of being wounded and doing a really good job, they gave me a kind of a choice of assignments. And from there, I went to work printing leaflets. We dropped something like 1 billion leaflets in Vietnam. And we purported to be the largest purveyors of toilet paper in Asia. So we printed them, and then they went over and got dropped out of the 303rd SOS, 303rd Special Operations Squadron out of Cameron Bay. We had the Brown Stallion program. And what that is there's a down pilot. And so what we'd do is go in and saturate the area with leaflets and offer reward for help, either information or literal help. And I mean, for these people, it was a big deal because they'd get like the equivalent of $1 million today if they helped the pilot. And so we'd saturate an area where a pilot went down. I got out in April of '72 and then came back to Redmond. All these photos right here, I was 22. And that's me washing a Jeep. So other duties as assigned, as we used to say in the military. So, you ended up with all kinds of jobs and you did what you had to do to get by. Well, this is a Purple Heart. That's the actual medal. They claim that the medals we were getting in those days, that's 1970, that it was part of the set of medals that they actually made for World War II. The rumor is that they made 500,000 Purple Hearts for the invasion of Japan. And this is supposedly one of those that they fortunately did not have to use. And it's the only medal that actually has a bust of George Washington on it, and it's actually in gold. Someone asked me, is there anything you got out of the service that you will always carry with you? And what I say is self-discipline. Certain things are ingrained in you as a result of that training experience. So I ended up back in DC, ended up going back to work for the Army as a civilian, and then applied for and got a military intelligence job as a civilian with NATO. So I was over in The Hague in the Netherlands from '88 to '93. I ended up as the team lead on building the intelligence architecture for NATO. And as far as I know, they're still using it today, the fundamentals of that system I put together way back then. This is actually a diagram of what was called the intelligence architecture for NATO. We got it done just in time for Operation Desert Storm in 1990. And we brought data in through this one from all the different nations. It got processed and then shared with all the NATO nations back out as a common picture of the battlefield. Because of that work, I ended up in the Pentagon working for the Office of Secretary of Defense. And then I knew I wanted to retire the West Coast, and I was starting to get kind of close. The Navy, it turns out, was moving a headquarters out of Washington to San Diego. And they had a job that was right in my wheelhouse. And I was down there until January of '03 when I retired and came home, came back to Redmond, and got involved in local politics. I've been mayor in Redmond since January of '09. My belief system says that, we're all part of our society. In my estimation, in some level, you should give back to your society. A guy, Ed Onimus, who used to be on the council, said, pick your passion and pursue it. And mine has been civic duty. I've done a lot of work with the League of Oregon Cities over the last many years. And so I was president of the League of Oregon Cities. I was also president of the Oregon Mayors Association. It's my town. Grew up here, born here, raised here. I love Redmond. Well, tonight is my final meeting after 14 years of being mayor, and I had asked for a special meeting tonight. It's going to be a night of celebration where we had, all the people that are leaving, people that have been special to Redmond. I'm going to give out some awards, do some appointments, and swear in our new counselors. So a night of fun for my last night being mayor after 14 years. Good evening, all. I will go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Redmond City Council. Tonight is all about wanting to honor and award those who have served our community over the last many years. Okay, we're going to start with presentation of awards. Pastor, thank you very much. So I have a certificate of appreciation for Kelly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America and the State of Oregon and the City Charter and ordinances of the City of Redmond? As mayor, George Endicott has dedicated innumerable hours to promoting a progressive and responsive government for the City of Redmond. And whereas under the leadership and watch of Mayor Endicott, Redmond has continued to experience unprecedented growth from a population of 24,729 in 2009 to 39,576 in 2022. His dedication to serving the community reflects his unwavering commitment and vision to elevate Redmond above the rest. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Redmond, Oregon hereby expresses to Mayor George Endicott its deep and sincere appreciation for his leadership in the governance of the City of Redmond during his tenure as mayor. Dated 20th day of December 2022.
Boy, you know what happens? I mean, one day flows into another, and you just don't realize until the end of it that all that stuff got done. But I pointed out earlier, it wasn't me. All of you out there really made this the community it is. So. You know, I would like to feel like that since I've been mayor, that myself, council staff, we all have made a difference. We all, I think, should contribute back in some way, and this is the way I've chosen to do it.